Since the Nats won in New York on both Saturday and Sunday to decrease the Mets' playoff chances, Walters will treat everyone to their first beer at the Nats Chat podcast party on Friday night, October 10th at 7 p.m. Walters is located just across the street from the ballpark.
This episode is brought to you by Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN. Now you can get all of ESPN in the new ESPN app, along with Disney Plus and Hulu with a limited time offer. The biggest sports, movies, and shows in one bundle, all for just $29.99 a month for 12 months. Visit Disney Plus Hulu ESPNBundle.com for details. Ad-supported plan auto-renews at regular price, currently $35.99 per month unless canceled. Ends January 5th, 2026. Terms apply.
Chris Sale, third base side of the rubber, ready to go. Nasim Nuñez in the right-hand hitter's batter's box. And the wind of the first pitch swung on, hit in the air to right field toward the corner. Long run for Acuna, way back down the line, and it is gone. Goodbye. A leadoff home run for Nasim Nuñez just inside the foul pole over the big wall down the right field line. Bang! Zoom goes Nasim Nuñez with his second home run in as many days. Both have come from the right side of the plate. Unbelievable. It's the Nationals 1, the Braves nothing after one pitch. And the pitch swung on, line to right center. Crews back. He lunges. He can't make the play. Over his head, one hop off the wall. Scoring on the play is Kim, and coasting into second is Michael Harris II. His 25th double, his 81st run batted in, and the Braves take the lead 2-1.
The 2-1 pitch. Swinging a ground ball shot up the middle. A dive from Nuñez, but he can't get it. It's a base hit. Profar runs around third, heads for the plate. He'll score. It's 11-5 Braves. And Miller at first and second in front of Ha-Sung Kim.
And welcome to Nats Chat. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. My usual co-host, Nats insider Mark Zuckerman of MASNsports.com. He is off for this installment of the podcast, but I am joined by the owner and executive producer of Nats Chat, Tim Shovers. We are still speaking, despite my alma mater, Maryland, having won at his alma mater, Wisconsin, this past Saturday afternoon, and by 17 points as a 10.5-point underdog per multiple outlets. But that's college football. This is Nats Chat. The Nationals in this month of September now are 11-10. Half of the losses, 5 of the 10 losses, have come against the Atlanta Braves. The Nats got swept by the Braves in a 4-game series at Nationals Park September 15th through the 17th. And the Nats lost at the Braves 11-5 on Monday night in Game 1 of a 3-game series. So this was a game in which the Nats allowed the Braves to score 5 runs in the bottom of the third. A bottom of the third during which Nats interim manager Miguel Cairo got ejected. This for arguing that a check swing by Ha-Sung Kim should have been strike 3 when it instead was called ball 4. This was a game that lasted for 3 hours and 12 minutes. The Nats in MLB's 2025 regular season now are 64-93, worst record in the National League East, second worst record in the National League, third worst record in the majors. And the Nats run differential now is minus 204, second worst run differential in the National League and in MLB. This installment of Nats Chat is brought to us by the newest album by Nats Chat theme song composer Tim Newmark. The album comes out on September 26. An early reviewer has described the album as packed with extremely deep emotions, kind of like this Nats season. The album is called Evolution. You can find it on all of your favorite streaming platforms on September 26th. So we say congrats to Tim Newmark on the album. Coming up on the show, starting pitcher Josiah Gray, his season is done. Also, another major departure from the Nats front office. But Tim, the starting pitching matchup for this game on Monday night was MacKenzie Gore versus Chris Sale. So much for that. Now, the Nats did get to Sale. I give the Nats credit. Sale allowed 5 runs in 5 innings, but Gore, very disappointing outing, 4 runs in 2 innings. And what could have been maybe a gem of a matchup in September, Gore versus Sale, ended up being anything but. And this ended up being a pretty wild game.
This was an endless game. This was a rough late September game between two teams not going to the playoffs. But I will step away from baseball for 1 second. Al, I want to throw you your flowers. It's my first time on air since Maryland did indeed kick Wisconsin's butt. I give credit where credit is due. To all our Terps listeners, congrats. You got Wisconsin for the first time since joining the Big Ten. And I think Malik Washington's going to look great for Ohio State as their starting quarterback for future years. But back to baseball. 9 walks today for the Nats as a staff, 4 from Gore, and it could have been more. And he was mercilessly pulled in the 3rd inning because the way this was headed, you could tell that he was headed to a quick visit to the showers. That mound visit, they sort of came in the 2nd inning. You know, I got scared for a second, like, is he hurt? But I think the Nats are just checking out, like, what's going on here? Fortunately, he wasn't hurt, just had a bad game.
The stat of the game is this. So the Nats in this game used 6 pitchers, MacKenzie Gore, and 5 relievers. Those 6 pitchers combined to throw 212 pitches over 8 innings. That works out to an average of 26.5 pitches per inning. Understand that, say, 17 pitches per inning is a high pitches per inning. Nats pitchers in this game averaged 26.5 pitches per inning. That is absurd. That is as inefficient of a team pitching performance as you'll ever see. And it started with MacKenzie Gore, who has been the Nats' best starting pitcher this season and had looked pretty good since coming off the 15-day injured list. But what we saw in this game was the worst of MacKenzie Gore. This is what can do him in, pitch inefficiency. And man, was he inefficient in this game. He lasted for just 2 innings. He officially allowed 4 runs in 2 innings. He gave up 4 hits, which were a home run, a double, and 2 singles. He issued 4 walks. He recorded 3 strikeouts. He, over his mere 2 innings, threw 71 pitches. Think about that. 71 pitches over 2 innings. He did throw a lot of strikes, 48 strikes versus just 23 balls, but a big reason for him throwing so many strikes was the Braves fouling off pitches like crazy. The Braves fouled off 24 pitches. And so what you had was a really odd outing. Usually when a starting pitcher lasts for 2 innings, it's because the guy has given up like 6, 7, 8 runs, like he has gotten shellacked. That's not what happened here. Look, Gore gave up some runs, but they didn't all score with him pitching. It was 4 runs in 2 innings. The problem was he couldn't get off the mound. He kept throwing pitches. He could not get outs, and boy, I could not get over what we saw from Gore. He had looked good, like I said, so it was actually a little surprising to see him look like this, but we have seen this before. Pitch inefficiency has been a problem for Gore in the past, and it certainly was a problem in this game.
We've learned over the years that Gore, it's possible for him to have a clunker. It's not rare. We've seen this a bunch. We've seen him come in bunches, coming off a good outing. But I can't say I was too surprised by this one. And usually you can tell early if he has it or if he doesn't. And unfortunately, for those who want him to end the season with an ERA below 4, he's up to 4.17. He either has one more start or he doesn't. We don't know yet, but that's looking extremely unlikely.
Yeah, maybe he can throw like a 15-inning shutout on the final day of the regular season to maybe get that ERA under 4. But it is disappointing that he's probably going to wind up with an ERA above 4. My mantra for MacKenzie Gore as this season winds down, Gore under 4 when it comes to the ERA. Doesn't look like that's happening. Gore for this regular season, 30 starts. Tim mentioned the ERA, 4.17. The whip now is at 135, and his pitches per inning, 17.65, second highest among all qualified pitchers in the majors. We've talked about this for multiple years now. MacKenzie Gore throwing a lot of pitches per inning. That has been a problem for him, and it was a massive problem on Monday night. An average of 35.5 pitches per inning for MacKenzie Gore. That was something. And I tell you, the Nats bullpen was not much better. 5 Nats relievers officially combined to allow 7 runs in 6 innings. Jackson Rutledge officially allowed 3 runs in a third of an inning. He and the Braves' 5-run third faced 6 batters but got just 1 out. He issued a walk and a hit by pitch and gave up 3 singles. Connor Pilkington officially tossed 2/3 of a scoreless and hitless inning. He and the Braves' 5-run third sandwiched swinging strikeouts around a 2-out bases-loaded walk of Ronald Acuna Jr. for a 7-1 Braves lead. Sauron Lau allowed 1 run in 1 2/3 innings. PJ Poulin allowed 3 runs in 1 inning. He in the bottom of the 6th allowed 3 runs on 3 singles, 2 walks, and a sac fly. Thankfully, Shinnosuke Ogasawara gave us some sanity when it came to this Nats pitching performance. 2 1/3 scoreless innings. I mentioned the final game time, 3 hours and 12 minutes. This game, for the longest time, felt like it was going to be at least 3.5 hours, maybe approaching 4 hours, with how slow the game was moving because of all of these pitches from Nats pitchers. But Ogasawara, in a lot of ways, saved the day with his 2 1/3 scoreless innings of relief.
Yeah, Ogasawara was the MVP if you want to look at it like this. Of course, the Nats were going to lose the game, but he was the 6th pitcher to enter, and it came in the 6th inning. And if he had struggled, the Braves might have put up 20 runs. Like, I don't know how many more pitchers the Nats had in them in this game. It's an extra shame because Mitchell Parker basically gave the bullpen a day off the day before Sunday in New York. So they basically had a full day off coming into it. But yeah, 3 hours and 12 minutes. This felt like a pre-pitch clock era game. It definitely had the feel of 3.5 hours. And I don't have numbers to back me up here, but now we are in year 3 of the pitch clock era. And this is our 3rd September. And it just does feel like that the games slowed down a bit from where they are beginning of the season. I don't know if that's human nature. Everyone's dragging a little bit more, and you got some of the last place teams, playing out the string. I don't know what that correlation is there, but I've definitely noticed it the past few Septembers.
Yeah, I mean, my guess would just be that the pitching gets worse as the season goes on. Guys get fatigued, guys are injured. You're seeing pitchers summoned from the minors to pitch in major league games, and so you get games like what we had on Monday night where the pitching was not overly impressive, to be sure. But yeah, thank you, Shinnosuke Ogasawara. And I tell you what, the Nats bullpen, I brought this up recently, the bullpen has come right back down to earth. And for all of the improvement of Nats relief pitching of a few weeks ago, that really has evaporated here. And the bullpen right now, I think, is running on fumes in a lot of ways, and just needs to get to the end of the season in terms of these guys being able to get a hold of themselves here. It's been a long season for everyone with the Nats. I understand that. It's been a rough season. But this bullpen, a lot has been asked of it. It was doing well for a decent chunk of time. It was nice to see that, but that has stopped. In the last few weeks, the bullpen has gone right back to being not so good. Hey, as the end of the Nats season approaches, a salute to one of the great sponsors of the Nats Chat podcast, Window Nation. If you want new windows, if you need new windows, contact Window Nation. Tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you. That helps out this podcast a lot, and that gets you a great deal on great Window Nation windows. In fact, now is the best time of year to get new windows. Whether you have old, drafty windows or cheap builder-grade windows, September is the perfect month to protect your home from cooler weather. And right now, Window Nation is offering its most popular offer: buy 2 replacement windows, get 2 for free. Plus, you won't pay any interest, pay any monthly payments, or pay any down payment for 2 years. 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. With Window Nation, you get top quality windows from a trusted company, all at a reasonable price, because Window Nation knows that replacing windows is an investment, and Window Nation wants to make the investment affordable to you. And do not miss this great offer from Window Nation. For listeners of the Nats Chat podcast, the offer is good until September 30th. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and you pay nothing for 2 years. 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. And tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you.
Need an oil change? Mopar factory-trained technicians know your vehicle best. Now get 2 full synthetic oil changes up to 6 quarts each for just $130 at your local Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram dealer. Additional charges may apply for engines with oil capacity that exceeds 6 quarts, Hemi engines, premium synthetic oil, and fluid disposal. Local tax shop supplies and disposal fees are extra, non-transferable. Use within 1 year from purchase. See your participating dealer or Mopar.com for complete details. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Mopar, and Hemi are registered trademarks of FCA US LLC.
You know what's wild? Most people are still overpaying for car insurance just because it's a pain to switch. That's why there's Jerry. Jerry's the only app that compares rates from over 50 insurers in minutes and helps you switch fast with no spam calls or hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Before you renew your car insurance policy, do yourself a favor, download the Jerry app or head to jerry.ai/SXM.
Sale cranks it home, swinging a drive deep in the air to left field. Profar's going back. He heads to the fence. This is gone. Crews pounds one out of here to left field. It's now 7-2 Atlanta. The Nationals have 2 base hits. They've both been home runs.
So the Nats offense in this 11-5 loss at the Braves on Monday night. Like I said, the Nats got to Chris Sale, 5 runs in 5 innings. The Nats in this game, 5 runs, 8 hits, 3 walks, 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. The 8 hits, 2 homers, and 6 singles. No James Wood in this game. Outfielder James Wood did not play. He, of course, has been ice cold, and he, of course, is approaching matching/breaking the record for most strikeouts by a batter in a regular season. That record is 223 by Mark Reynolds in 2009. Wood right now has an MLB worst 215 strikeouts. He is 8 strikeouts away from the record, and you gotta wonder if at least part of the motivation of him not playing on Monday night is to try to make it so that he doesn't tie/break that record. Also for the Nats in this game, Daylen Lile did not play. The outfielder did not play of suffering a left knee contusion in the Nats 3-2 win at the New York Mets on Sunday afternoon. CJ Abrams did play. He returned from a 1-game absence caused by a jammed right shoulder. He is the Nats starting DH and number 2 batter. Went 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts, so Abrams does continue to struggle. But the Nats had the 2 homers in this game, and the homers came from Dylan Crews and Nasim Nuñez. Dylan Crews, he is the Nats starting right fielder and number 5 batter, went 1 for 4 with a solo homer. Crews in the Nats 1-run 4th had a 2-out solo homer to left field on a 1-2 pitch to cut the Nats deficit to 7-2. Good to see Crews homer. And how about Nasim Nuñez? He homered again. He is the Nats starting shortstop and number 1 batter, went 3 for 4 with a solo homer, 2 singles and a walk. Nuñez on the first pitch of the game walloped an opposite field homer to right field off Chris Sale for a 1-0 Nats lead, giving him in that moment 4 home runs over his previous 29 plate appearances. Nasim Nuñez, not at all known for hitting for power, 4 homers in a 29 plate appearance stretch. This is a guy who, of course, was selected in the Rule 5 draft by the Nats a few years ago. He was brought back up to the majors on September 1st as a September call-up, and he in this month of September has 4 home runs. James Wood in this month of September has 1 home run. Nasim Nuñez has 4 homers. Go figure. And I tell you, Tim, in this September, this has been one of the more fun developments and one of the more fun things to watch. Nasim Nuñez hitting bombs for the Nats as the season winds down.
All right, I was thinking about this during the game and throughout the day. Do we have a developing situation in regards to Nasim Nuñez? I know small sample size here, but we're all a bit down on C.J. Abrams, the shortstop. Not C.J. Abrams, the Washington National, but C.J. Abrams, the shortstop. The Nats did cartwheels last year to keep Nuñez on the roster with the Rule 5, distinction. You got to stay on the roster for the first year. And then they sent him down, and he's playing well. I'm not talking about long term, but I'm looking towards next year. Kind of want to know what you think about that, Al.
So you're talking about Nasim Nuñez as the number 1 shortstop and Abrams as, say, the number 1 second baseman. Is that what you're thinking?
Right, because I think come Sunday, we've seen the last of Luis Garcia Jr. as a second baseman.
Well, I'll say this. I think the sooner C.J. Abrams gets moved to second base, the better, unless whoever is running baseball operations moving forward really believes in Abrams developing defensively at shortstop. But I just don't know how you could think that at this point. I mean, we've seen Abrams at shortstop for years now, so I do think it's time to move him to second base. Yeah, I want Abrams at second base for next year. And when it comes to shortstop, I mean, I would have my concerns with Nasim Nuñez getting exposed over the long haul if he was your regular number 1 everyday or pseudo everyday shortstop. But I think the larger point is sound, that seeing more of Nasim Nuñez is not a crazy thought. Him getting, playing time next season to where he gets himself 200 plate appearances over the course of the 162 is not a crazy thought. He's gotten so much better as a batter. And the fact that he is showing that he can hit for power is stunning, but also encouraging. And so, I don't know that he's an everyday player, but I wouldn't mind seeing more of him. That's for sure. You got to love the energy that he brings. And the fact that he is a plus defender is huge for a team that is so bad defensively. So, if nothing else, it could help in that regard. So, I don't think it's crazy to say you want to see more of Nasim Nuñez. And man, what a month of September he is having. Where would the Nats be in this month of September if not for Daylen Lile and Nasim Nuñez? And think about that statement if I would have said it to you just a few months ago. So Crews homered, Nuñez homered. Jacob Young did not homer. He did not have a hit, in fact. He is the Nats starting center fielder, a number 8 batter, went 0 for 4. But he made another circus defensive play. This is becoming an every game thing here for Jacob Young. Sometimes multiple circus-like plays in a game. But Young in this game on Monday night, bottom of the 5th, a sliding forward catch of a 1-out first pitch line out by Ha-Sung Kim as Young bobbled the ball, but then caught it with his bare hand. So he didn't kick the ball this time like he did on Sunday afternoon, but another ridiculously impressive play by Jacob Young. Unreal. He has become the human highlight reel for the Nats.
Yeah, 3 in 2 days, 2 of which with bobbles. He's got kicks and bobbles up in the air. He's doing them all in all sorts of ways. Jacob Young made the Today Show, by the way, this morning. My mom told me she's a viewer. At first, I was really surprised by that, but my guess also is good chance that one of the main producers at the Today Show is a diehard Mets fan. So if that catch had happened in Kansas City or Seattle, does it make the Today Show? I'm not so sure. But Jacob Young, keep the momentum going. I don't want to fully cut bait on Jacob Young yet. It'd be nice for him to end on a high note this season. He is, I got a lot of texts today from people that do not follow Washington Nationals about this Young catch here. So keep it going, Young.
Jacob Young, the offense just is not good enough for him to be an every game outfielder, but the defense is superb. And so for that reason, I think moving forward, he 100% is with the Nats on the Major League active roster, or at least he should be, as a number 4 outfielder. As a late inning defensive replacement, you can't do better than Jacob Young. And look, if he has to play as a starter for, a finite period of time, you certainly can make hay with that. It's not like, he's going to embarrass you. It's just that his offense leaves a lot to be desired. He doesn't hit for power, and he's not even really getting on base at some extreme rate. But man, the defense is just tremendous. And these catches, making great catches doesn't mean that you're a great defender. Like a lot of people make diving catches, and it actually in the StatCast era is a little misleading to always say that a diving catch was a great catch, because now that we know about things like route efficiency, if you take a bad route to the ball, you may have to dive, whereas if you take a proper route to the ball, you don't have to dive. So just because you dive, that doesn't make it a great defensive play. But with Jacob Young, we know he is a great defender. The advanced stats show that. And so these highlight-worthy plays that he's making just like further add to the lore of Jacob Young as a defender, and just put, the exclamation mark on what he can do defensively. And, whether he's kicking the ball or he's bobbling the ball or he's barehanding the ball or he's doing a stand-up act before he catches the ball, like the guy has just become must-see TV in terms of his defense.
Hey Nats Chat, here to tell you about Babbel. Not sure if you're aware, but this upcoming spring is going to be a busy one across the sport, as in addition to Cactus and Grapefruit League play, there will be the World Baseball Classic from March 5th to the 17th. Now, a few years ago, my wife and I, we flew down to South Florida. One day we saw the Nats play in West Palm, and the next day we went and saw Nicaragua play down in Miami. It was a heck of a lot of fun, and one of the things that worked well was that her and I like to practice Spanish, so it made it more of an authentic experience sitting in the stands. If you too want such an experience, then I recommend checking out Babbel. In addition to Spanish, they also offer Brazilian Portuguese if you want to root for Brazil in the WBC, or if you are really into the Netherlands squad, Babbel offers Dutch. Babbel is a great way to engage with native speakers who can help you nail those pronunciations as you work on the language. With over 16 million subscriptions sold, Babbel's 14 award-winning languages are backed by a 20-day money-back guarantee. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/natschat. That's spelled BABBEL.com/natschat.
Need an oil change? Mopar factory-trained technicians know your vehicle best. Now get 2 full synthetic oil changes up to 6 squirts each for just $130 at your local Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer. Additional charges may apply for engines with oil capacity that exceeds 6 quarts, Hemi engines, premium synthetic oil, and fluid disposal. Local tax, shop supplies, and disposal fees are extra, non-transferable. Use within 1 year from purchase. See your participating dealer or Mopar.com for complete details. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Mopar, and Hemi are registered trademarks of FCA US LLC.
Pitch on the way, swung on, little looper, shallow right. Allen going out. He's going to get there. Nick Allen runs it down in shallow right center field, and the ball game is over. And the Braves have taken game 1 of this 3-game series, and Atlanta has been hot. The Braves win their 9th straight game, and they take this one going away here tonight.
The Nats lose this game at the Braves 11-5 on Monday night. We had some Nats news during the day on Monday. Josiah Gray's season is done. The Nats on Monday afternoon announced that Josiah Gray has returned to the team's spring training facility in West Palm Beach, Florida, to begin his offseason, so he will not pitch at the major league level this regular season. Gray in September made 3 minor league rehab starts. There, of course, had been talk of him potentially pitching in the majors. We had engaged in that talk on this podcast, but his season is done, and I don't know about you, Tim, but to me, I'm okay with this. I don't see this as that big of a deal or negative news. Like, what matters the most here is how is he doing physically? Is he healthy? He's coming off the Tommy John surgery and internal brace procedure on his right UCL. He underwent those procedures on July 24th, 2024. He appears to be doing well. You know, we're not examining him, but he appears to be doing well, and that's a very good thing. So, while I think it would have been nice to see him pitch at the majors, it was not a must. He's not pitching in the majors because he's ailing as best as we can tell. So I'm not bothered by this, but how about you?
Selfishly, I want him to pitch this weekend against the White Sox. I thought that would have been a nice way to sort of cap this long road to recovery and then give a nice little dose of optimism heading into the winter and spring training for next year. But as long as he's healthy, that's all that really matters. I will take the Nats at their word on this. I will say, though, that under the pretense that he is healthy, it looks like we are headed towards, for the first time finally, an opening day, as of right now, fingers crossed, with a healthy Kay Cavalli, a healthy MacKenzie Gore, and a healthy Josiah Gray. We have been waiting now over 3 years to say that sentence.
Very much so, and, we'll see if all 3 are still here. We'll see if, say, a MacKenzie Gore gets traded this offseason, but if he doesn't, Gore, Cavalli, Gray, in some order would figure to form the top 3 of the Nats rotation next season, unless the Nats decide to sign a big money free agent starting pitcher. But cue the laugh track. We're not holding our breath on that happening. But Josiah Gray, big season for him next season. His last full season, the 2023 season, was a good one. This kind of gets forgotten. Gray in the 2023 regular season, 30 starts, 3.1 wins above replacement per Baseball Reference. He was an all-star. He was good for the Nats the last time we saw him in terms of a full season. So if he gets back to that and is maybe possibly better in 2026, how great would that be? Also, with the Nats on Monday afternoon, reports that Nats Senior Director of Amateur Scouting, Brad Ciolek, is leaving the team to join the Detroit Tigers. The Nats on October 25th, 2023 officially announced the hiring of Ciolek as Senior Director of Amateur Scouting. The Nats, in fact, plucked Ciolek from the Orioles. But now Ciolek, less than 2 years after joining the Nats, is leaving the Nats to join the Tigers. And his departure from the Nats comes off the reports on September 3rd that Nats Vice President of Amateur Scouting, Danny Haas, was leaving the Nats to rejoin the Orioles. In fact, it was on October 25th, 2023, that the Nats officially announced the hirings of both Danny Haas and Brad Ciolek. And now both are gone less than 2 years later. In fact, we on this podcast had Danny Haas and Brad Ciolek on as guests. They were terrific, a real joy to talk to, but each guy now is leaving the team. And while there's a lot with this that we can't say with certainty, I don't think that you have to be, working in the FBI to figure this out here. I mean, Danny Haas and Brad Ciolek are two guys who are well connected. You would think that they recognize that big-time change is coming for the Nats front office, regardless of whether the Lerner ownership group retains interim general manager Mike DeBartolo in terms of him running Nats baseball operations beyond this season. And so I would think that what is happening here is Danny Haas and Brad Ciolek jumping at opportunities for more stable ground, right? There's a lot of uncertainty with the Nats. We don't know who's going to be running things moving forward, although maybe you could say Haas and Ciolek do know who's going to be running things moving forward and do not like who's going to be running things moving forward, okay? I mean, there are multiple possibilities here, but the idea would be if you're Haas and Ciolek, you're saying, I want to get out of here. Let me go somewhere else. I've got options. And Haas and Ciolek pretty clearly are taking advantage of those options.
Wasn't a surprise at all when I saw it. Unless Ciolek was given word that he was going to have either the same job or a better job in the new regime, he had to be looking, and I'm sure he was looking for a while. And because both Haas and Ciolek were on the podcast together, I do mentally group them as a tandem. And so once I heard that Haas was gone, I figured that Ciolek would follow him out the door. They were hired by Mike Rizzo. Mike Rizzo's not there anymore. It just makes all the sense in the world. Now, the only thing is, does it mean anything in terms of Mike DeBartolo? Is he going to be the number one guy, the number two guy, or is he with the organization at all in a few weeks? I think this news has nothing to do with that answer.
Yeah, I saw some people trying to make a jump of, Haas and Ciolek leaving would seem to indicate that DeBartolo is not getting the job of running baseball ops. I don't know. I don't know how you can say that with certainty. I think that you could spin this in either direction, that it helps the cause in terms of if you want to believe that DeBartolo is getting the job, or it works against the thought that DeBartolo gets the job. I don't know that this tells us anything one way or the other. I also don't know how you can say, is this a good thing or a bad thing that Haas and Ciolek are leaving? We don't know, because we don't know who's going to be running things. We don't know what that person's vision for things will be. We don't know who that person will be bringing in to do the jobs of Danny Haas and Brad Ciolek. So it's tough to say, is this a blow to the Nats, or is this the kind of thing that you look at and say, go ahead and let him go, because what's about to happen is a massive revamping of Nats baseball ops with new blood and fresh ideas and people who are going to be in alignment with whoever is running baseball ops moving forward. I will say this, though. Ideally, you're not hiring two guys like Haas and Ciolek for them to leave in less than 2 years. And we've had this now with multiple notable Nationals executives in recent years. Danny Haas, Brad Ciolek, DeJohn Watson, these people who are brought in for prominent positions and they last for about an hour and a half for whatever reasons, and you're soon looking for their replacements. Now, again, in this case, it's a different scenario because you're getting a new head of baseball ops, and who knows what that person will want to do beneath him or her. But, you do need stability here. And I think that's important. And, whoever gets the job of running baseball operations, you want that person to get a true good faith run at doing this, So hopefully we're not talking in 2 years about that person being out or a key person beneath that person being out. You want to see a proper power structure put in place. And then you want that power structure to have ample time to make things right. And so hopefully that is what we'll get here.
From the start, now especially with hindsight, the Mike Rizzo era the last few years was a patchwork of philosophies. My guess would be that Haas and Ciolek had nothing to do with their opinions on baseball with Mike Rizzo. I imagine that was a huge clash. And that whole thing was Frankenstein together, where it was the old guard trying to get up to the new age. And so, as far as I can tell, it's all right, everyone go their separate ways. And come October 2025, we're into a new era of Nationals baseball.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for wiping the slate clean. And, we don't know, did the Lerners fight hard to retain Danny Haas and Brad Ciolek? Was this more go ahead and take whatever jobs you can get? There's that aspect of this too. But I think there is something to be said for wipe the slate clean and let whoever is about to run this thing as he or she sees fit. Game 2 for the Nats at the Braves Tuesday night at 7:15. 15, Brad Lord will be the Nats starting pitcher. This installment of the Nats Chat podcast is brought to us by a new album by Nats Chat theme song composer Tim Newmark. The album comes out on September 26th. An early reviewer describes the album as packed with extremely deep emotions. The album is called Evolution. You can find the album on all of your favorite streaming platforms on September 26th. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. Hit us up on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. Email us, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. For Tim Shovers, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Now the pitch. Did he go? Check swing, they'll appeal. And yes, it's a swing, says John Lipka, the third base umpire. And Adrianza knew it. He strikes out, the 10th strikeout of the game for Josiah Gray.
Need an oil change? Mopar factory-trained technicians know your vehicle best. Now get 2 full synthetic oil changes up to 6 quarts each for just $130 at your local Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer. Additional charges may apply for engines with oil capacity that exceeds 6 quarts, Hemi engines, premium synthetic oil, and fluid disposal. Local tax, shop supplies, and disposal fees are extra, non-transferable. Use within 1 year from purchase. See your participating dealer or Mopar.com for complete details. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Mopar and Hemi are registered trademarks of FCA US LLC.